Hi, hello, welcome. How are you today, people? So today we're going to read a book. This is the book. How are you today? Yes, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good too. And we're going to read this beautiful book. I'm going to show you here. A Wish for Wings That Work. And I'm going to ask you some questions while I read, and if you need me to explain something, you can comment there. Okay, I'm glad you're here, people. Hi. Okay, so let's start. A Wish for Wings That Work. I'm going to take this here. Okay. So, all men dream, but not equally. So not everybody has the same dreams, right? Okay. It was a good morning to fly, even if it had come late and slow and so cold that a penguin feared his nose might freeze and drop off like one of the icicles hanging over the porch. Fly, Opus whispered to himself as he ran to the top of Duck's Breath Ridge and down to watch the snow ducks soar above. Fly, he whispered as he lifted his wings and waited to be swept up beneath the fading Christmas moon with the other birds. But it was on mornings such as this that Opus' heart grew as cold as his nose. A penguin can surely say the word fly, but he cannot do it. So he wanted to fly, right? And his nose was freezing like icicles. Do you know what icicles are? Icicles. Tell me if you know. Hello. Tell me if you know what icicles are. His nose was freezing like icicles. I'm going to show you what is an icicle. These are icicles. So it was very cold and he wanted to fly like the birds. But he's a penguin, he can't fly. So, a bird with wings that won't work, Opus growled to himself. What good is that? What good am I? I might as well have been born a snail, or a slice of Melba toast. One day during lunch, he climbed the statue in the park and offered to share his last pickle with the pigeons, but they just rolled their eyeballs around and moved away. It is not our pleasure, they sniffed, to share pickles with birds whose wings do not work. So here he is on the statue trying to share his pickle, and the pigeons say they don't want that. They don't want because his wings don't work. He can't fly. And he says, I might have been born a snail, so you know snail that moves very slowly, or a slice of Melba toast. I didn't know this one, so I searched, and this is a Melba toast. Right? Okay, people. So tell me if you can understand what's happening, right? And if you need to ask me anything, you can ask. Okay, here. If my wings will not lift me, I'll find something that does, thought Opus. He heard a man screaming on TV about a new product everyone should own called Flap-O-Matic. Opus quickly ordered one. When it arrived, he put it together and hoped everything was right, since The instructions were in a different language. Opus carried it up to the vulture gorge, strapped it on, and wound up the rubber band. Stepping to the edge, Opus looked down to the bottom tree, miles below. Yo, he gulped. He sighed, walked back home, and spent the rest of the day cooking anchovy Christmas cookies, which wasn't nearly as dangerous. So he got scared and he didn't fly. He tried, but then he looked and it was so high and he didn't fly. So what do you think, people? Do you think it was a good idea for him? Yeah, Flap-O-Matic. Yeah, it's the name of this product he bought. Flap-O-Matic. Because flap, is what you do with the wings. You flap the wings like this. So yeah, Flap-O-Matic. So he was very sad. Look, very sad. And then Opus knew what he should do. That night he sat in front of the warm fireplace, considered his words carefully, and wrote an important letter. Dear Santa Claus, in the past I have asked for a scarf that would last. I have wished for new skates or some herring rum cakes, but since my wings sputter, at those times they should flutter. I thought you should know I need wings that will go. So what he's saying is that he has wished for skates or for cakes, but now he wants to fly. He wants wings that will make him fly. So sputter is because he tries and he can't fly. So they sputter and they don't flutter. And he did that in front of the fireplace. This is the fireplace. Do you know who that is? People, tell me if you know who that is. Yes, sputter. Is because they just do like this and they don't work. I think it would be more like this. It can be for other things, but it's basically that. No? What would be sputter, ma'am? Let's see here, sputter. Okay, let's. So it can make series of soft explosive sounds, typically when being heated or as a symptom of a fault. Maybe it would be that, but it's different because he's talking about the wings and not like this is about engine, for example. But maybe it's the sounds that they do. Maybe his wings does this explosive sounds, and he can't fly. That's great. See, we can learn many words. Oh, and nobody answered. This is Amelia Earhart, the first woman that flew over the Atlantic Ocean in a plane. So now he is putting the letter into the mailbox. He's sending the letter to Santa Claus. Let's see. After mailing his Christmas wish, Opus congratulated himself that a penguin could be so clever, and he immediately went up to Duck's Breath Ridge to practice takeoffs. Santa Claus will be bringing me new wings, announced Opus to passing Snow Duck. I shall be flying on Christmas morning. So he is really confident about that and hopeful that he will be flying. Christmas Eve soon arrived, and after leaving a note of welcome to Santa Claus in the fireplace, the penguin whose wings would not work tucked himself into bed. He burrowed down deep in his thick quilt, curled his knees up to his chin, scratched his nose one last time, and as a flock of snow ducks drifted silently across the full Christmas moon, closed his eyes. "Fly," Opus whispered to himself just before falling asleep. "I'll be flying on Christmas morning." And then he was snoring. So here he is. He tucked himself into bed and he's sleeping, right? And he curled his knees up to his chin, so he put like his legs up to his chin, and he scratched his nose one last time. Do you know what scratch his nose, people? Probably you do, but I'll show you here too. Let's see. This is to scratch your nose. So he scratched his nose, and then he started to snore. So he was snoring. It's when we do this sounds like that's snoring, people. You're sleeping and you make this sounds. Hello, English with Arash. And here are the ducks. So look, there, above the hills, above the clouds, a soft glow growing brighter, closer. What was it? It was much too early for the sun. Maybe it was a duck with a flashlight. Listen, sleigh bells ringing. Ducks don't wear sleigh bells. Why, it was him, of course, and with the thunder of hoofs, Father Christmas himself burst through the midnight clouds. So who's coming? Who's coming here? Who do you think's coming? Santa Claus, but look what happens. Look. On over the countryside, Santa's sleigh swooped and glided and zoomed and... Wait, there was a bump, a little thump. Probably just some bumpy air. Something was not right. A small piece of the harness had broken away. The reindeer flew on, but Santa's sleigh plummeted like a meteor toward the lake. So the sleigh was falling toward the lake. Oh no! So, hello, wake up, emergency! A voice hollered. Who's jumping about on my bed? Asked Opus, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. This is beautiful, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. A snow duck was holding a light over Opus and looking very upset. Catastrophe! Calamity! The duck hollered. A considerable setback. Please follow me. Opus sighed and gasped that the milkman had slipped and gotten his head stuck in the porch railing again. He crawled out of bed and stumbled outside behind his midnight intruder. So the ducks went there to call Opus to help. Right, people? And Opus was tired, but the ducks took him. There, said the snow ducks, and they pointed toward the dark lake. They lifted the little penguin so he could see better. Opus could just make out something, a lantern out on the water, a big man with a white beard, standing atop a sleigh that was teetering, rocking, and sinking. Opus gasped in horror. So he gasped, like, okay. And beard, like Santa has a beard. Let's see if you can see. He has a white beard. Look here. White beard. And there's Santa. And Opus is looking, and the ducks had to lift Opus so that he could see better. Look. So he's sinking. Santa is sinking. Opus needs to help him. Whoa. Down the snowy bank, Opus scampered, a flash of black and white as he hit the water. With a roar, a shimmering curtain of spray erupted behind the rushing missile. It held in the air for the longest seconds, catching the moonlight before falling. Toad frogs leaped, catfish jumped, and Opus flew, strong and fast, through the icy water, a wonderful roaring, graceful torpedo sailing through the darkness. Thank you for the hearts, people. He was swimming, and swimming, after all, is what penguins do best. So he was swimming because swimming is what penguins do best. Look, he swims so well. And who was, let's see, leaping and jumped? Toad frogs leaped and catfish jumped. See, catfish, toad frogs. When he's swimming. There, whispered a snow duck from the water's edge. Look there, he said, pointing now, for something was moving toward them. It was Opus, and he was pulling the great Christmas sled and all the toys through the freezing water with the reins in his teeth. There was great sloshing and frothing and laughing. Somebody was laughing. Out of the sleigh, a deep voice of good cheer drifted in over the water. Ho, 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 ho! It rumbled faintly. Ho, 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 go! So Santa Claus was laughing, and Opus was pulling the sled with Santa and the toys, and he has the reins in his mouth. So these are the reins. So if you walk with like horses too, we also use this, the reins. Are you following, people? So he saved Santa. And now look at him, poor Opus. Opus tumbled, exhausted, onto the dock. His arms ached, and it hurt to breathe. He noticed many eyes watching him, and he tried his best to straighten his soggy red bow tie. He had brought the sleigh safely to shore. The reindeer were waiting there patiently. The large man in the red suit approached, grasped his hand, and shook it gently. Santa's wide pink face came down close, and his whiskers brushed Opus' ear. Opus noticed his kind eyes, one of which winked softly. I see no penguins here, Santa whispered, whose wings only sputter. Tonight it was courage that flew yours beyond others. He whirled, and with a snap of a whip and a hearty laugh, he and the sleigh sailed up toward the stars. So what happened was Santa winked and said, I see no penguins here whose wings only sputter. Tonight courage flew yours beyond others. So he kind of flew swimming in the water, right? Look. Oh, he shook up his hand and told him that. And then he went. Oh. So, next morning, Opus awoke Christmas morning and stumbled sleepily to the door. But he found something besides the morning paper outside. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. There were there on his front porch and spreading out across his lawn and down the street were hundreds, maybe even thousands of smiling snow ducks. And each and every one wore a little bright red bow tie. So here we can see that it's red, but they are wearing bow ties here. Every single one of them. Two of the ducks took hold of his arms and led him outside, where, slowly at first and then faster, they all began running and flapping their wings. "What's going on?" said Opus, but he already knew, for his feet weren't on the ground anymore. Over the street and above the houses, those ducks carried Opus until they were way, way above Duck's breath reach. Down below, people looked up, for they could hear a voice somewhere above the clouds. It was a penguin whose wings didn't work, laughing because he surely was flying on Christmas morning. People, he was flying! So he did fly on Christmas morning. His dream came true. So that was it, people. Tell me if you liked the story and if you have more questions. I will wait a little bit for some questions if you have about the story. I think it's a very beautiful story because sometimes we think we want something, but there are other ways to get that thing. He wanted to fly, and then the ducks helped him to fly. Let's see if someone has any question. Okay, so I think it's a beautiful story. A wish for wings that work, and thank you all for listening. Bye!